and welcome back to Run the Atlas. Today we're talking about Guadalajara. As you've seen on our channel, we just got back from a trip to Guadalajara. I published a vlog series, I'll link up above. And there were so many things I wish I would have known before visiting this city. I was completely shocked by many different things, including the weather, the culture, getting there, and many other surprises. So stay tuned to the end so that you can plan for your trip. Now, why visit Guadalajara? This is Mexico's second most populous city after Mexico City and the 10th largest city in Latin America. And it's known for its traditional, iconic Mexican culture, including mariachi music and tequila production. So if you're looking for that really authentic Mexican experience in your travels, this is a great place to come. Now, before you go, you're probably wondering, do you need to speak Spanish? And necesitas hablar español. The culture has limited English. It's not like Cancun or Puerto Vallarta. So definitely know how to introduce yourself, ask directions, order food, that kind of thing. You will find some people who speak English, particularly if you're staying in an American chain hotel, but there's not a big international crowd here, so English is not widely spoken. So next is the weather. So Guadalajara is known for its very hot climate, but it also has a rainy season, and that happens from late June to September. We visited in June and there was a huge tropical storm. It completely flooded the streets.
Yeah, actually rivers now, yeah.
That's a river.
In the next tower will be higher than the water.
I was really shocked by this, but after the rain dissipated, the city was completely empty and it was magical. It was very cinematic. So definitely prepare for a mix of hot and rainy weather, especially if you're visiting in the summer. I mentioned Guadalajara is a very large city. So there's a historic core, which is called Centro Historico. Then there's also a business district. So you want to make sure that you stay close to the center of the historic core. We stayed at the DoubleTree Hotel. This was the perfect location. I highly recommend it. It overlooked the 16th century buildings, the beautiful square. It was also reasonably priced at around $50 per night. Guadalajara does not have kind of that small town, Pueblo Magico feel. It's very much a large, bustling city. It's not as overwhelming as Mexico City with all of the different districts and traffic, but there is a lot of traffic. Don't get me wrong. Just be prepared for a very sprawling city. So driving and getting around. So in order to get from the airport, the Guadalajara airport, to El Centro, it can take anywhere from 30 minutes minimum to about 2 hours, depending on the traffic. During our visit, it took about an hour to get there. There was a very long taxi line. It's forever. You notice that driving here is a little bit challenging. So if you're renting a car, be prepared for a lot of roundabouts. Many different lanes are merging together, so that's something to be aware of. If you have a 3 or 4 day weekend planned, that's a perfect time period to visit Guadalajara. Getting there from California. If you are in the San Diego region, you're in for a treat because you can use CBX. This is the Cross Border Express. This is very unique to San Diego because it enables you to park on the United States, cross over a special bridge across the border, and utilize the Tijuana airport. So your flight becomes a domestic flight, meaning you get much cheaper rates. And you also don't need a COVID test before visiting. However, you do need to fill out a health form, so be prepared for that as well. You don't need a vaccination as of right now. And using the Cross Border Express made our travels to Mexico very easy. Couple caveats with that. First is Aeromexico cut their direct flights to Guadalajara. Our flight got canceled and we got routed through Mexico City. If you're not connecting direct, it can add much more time to your trip. Our trip went from 2.5-hour flight to about 7 hours of transit time. So bring your masks and just be cautious of COVID. They are still working through some of the COVID issues in Mexico right now. So one of the major things you're gonna wanna do when you visit Guadalajara is visit Tequila. This is the region in Jalisco where they grow tequila. This is intellectual property of Mexico. It cannot be grown anywhere else. So it's very special to visit this region. It's also protected by UNESCO. What's magical about visiting Tequila is that the entire landscape is blue. You'll notice the entire fields for miles are just covered in blue agave. It's something I've never seen before. It was very picturesque. Tequila is a region that's 55 kilometers away from Guadalajara, so it's a great side trip. You don't need to stay overnight. We booked a tour through Viator, which I'll link down below. We took basically a private tour guide and he spoke English. There's many things to note though before you book this tour. Be sure to load up on a very big breakfast. Now, in this region, you're gonna notice two major items on the menu. There's birria, which is a stewed meat, usually goat meat. And then there's also tortas ahogadas. These are drowned tortas, and they're covered in like a tomato sauce. This is perfect food to eat before or after drinking or a night on the town in Tequila. Guadalajara is known for its very spicy, very saucy foods. We noticed there's not a lot of really healthy comidas saludables. It's more like stewed meats, really heavy, saucy foods. If you're looking for healthy foods or you're vegan or something like that, this region will be a little bit more difficult and you'll probably have to spend more money trying to locate restaurants to meet your needs. Be sure to book that side trip to Tequila when you're taking the tequila production tours and you're visiting the agave farms. Please note that they will pressure you to buy tequila. The Blanco is just very strong. So, arriba, abajo. When you're visiting Tequila, the people dress up pretty fancy as well. They have the charro culture. You'll see a lot of people wearing kind of the Western outfits, the boots and the hats. The girls will be wearing like really nice dresses, makeup, a lot of heels. You know, a lot of people are doing celebrations here. Definitely leave like the beach attire that you'd bring to Cabo at home. So about tequila, we learned a lot of things about tequila production, and one of the things to note is tequila has to say 100% agave on the bottle, because some of the tequila factories will use sugarcane or corn and ferment that, and they'll mix it with chemicals, and it's not real tequila. So they're able to kind of get around that. One of the most well-known tequila factories that you can tour here is Jose Cuervo. They have a train, which is no longer in service right now, but there is a tequila train. Be on the lookout for that when or if it reopens. My personal favorite tequila is Patron, which is not open to the public, and it's located in the Highlands. And that's something I didn't know until I got to Tequila. A little bit more about Guadalajara and the Centro Historico. You'll notice that a lot of the buildings here were built in the 16th century. So it's really beautiful. You'll see the Gothic cathedral, the Catedral de Guadalajara. It's really beautiful, illuminates at night. They also have an area called the Cabañas, which is really beautiful as well. It's turned into a museum, but beware that there are closures, and also beware of entry fees, because that can get pretty expensive. Another thing to note about the Centro Historico, is that you'll see beautiful historic buildings like UNESCO World Heritage buildings right next to like a modern structure built in the 70s. As you'll see a church like this right next to very new construction. So it's just a mix, like there's no real zoning. So that was interesting as well. We felt pretty safe traveling around the historic core. It's very tourist friendly. You'll even notice they have horses and carriages and ride through the city. So it gives it a very magical, almost like Spanish fairy tale feel. It's very beautiful. One more thing to note about Guadalajara is that it's also very close to circular pyramids called Guachimontones. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and these are the only circular pyramids in the world. There are some rounded pyramids also in Mexico City, and it's really special to see them. One thing I noticed is up close, they were a little bit smaller than I originally thought they would be. And also our guide told us that they had been completely reconstructed. Basically, archaeologists visited the site. They basically took it apart. It was overgrown, there were trees growing in it, and they took it apart and reconstructed it based on historical facts and historical paintings on what they thought it looked like. So that's why it looks so perfect and perfectly rounded. It's because it's been reconstructed. So that was something that I thought was really interesting. And this was also the first and only time I've been able to hike to the top of a pyramid. I was not able to do this in Egypt. I was not able to do this in any other part of Mexico except for here. So be sure to visit Guachimontones. And with that, I hope you get a chance to visit Guadalajara very soon. This is a very magical and traditional city. It will give you an experience unlike any other in Mexico. It's very unique. And one thing I really loved about it more than anything was the landscapes with the blue agave. So be sure to bring your camera because you will love those landscapes. Thank you, muchas gracias. And be sure to like and subscribe as we publish videos every Saturday.